You think the president's being blackmailed? Well, we know he's being blackmailed by the FBI, but is he being blackmailed by Ukraine? Eugene, you've always wondered if Trump was being blackmailed by the Russians, but he never sent $100 billion to Moscow. But the Ukrainians have dirt on Biden, and he empties our treasury into Kyiv. You don't want to maybe try to connect that dot? You're right. We can't verify it. But what we're doing over here is called journalism. We're trying to verify it. We're connecting dots. Eugene's a journalist, right? And he's not even trying to practice his craft. And get this, the media went from let's hire 87,000 IRS agents and I'll have them strapped to the IRS agents are just a bunch of liars.
You've got these other people who are supposedly these IRS informants who basically get up there and go, yeah, it was actually Donald Trump. When I was complaining, it was Donald Trump who was president then, and it was Trump's IRS and Trump's Justice Department in 2018. And here we have a document that, again, that's complete nonsense.
Has Garbo not been following the news? The FBI and the Justice Department have been out to get Trump for 7 years. Trump's FBI tried to take him out with the 25th Amendment. Trump's FBI buried the laptop to help Biden win. Trump's own Justice Department appointed a special counsel to investigate him for a crime they knew he didn't commit. Yeah, Joe, you're right. The Hunter Biden IRS investigation started under Donald Trump. You're right. And then they immediately moved it to Delaware, where it went nowhere for 6 years. And what does he mean, supposedly these IRS informants? They're IRS whistleblowers with pristine records. One of them is a gay Democrat. Why would a gay Democrat IRS agent lie about Hunter deducting prostitutes from his taxes? Are you telling me that's not something Hunter would do? But here's an even better excuse. Listen to this one.
Much of the conduct they were talking about was an election year where the subject's father was on the ballot. So the, quote, slow walking that they talk about was actually done by Bill Barr's Justice Department because of election year sensitivities.
So one election year slows an investigation down by 5 years. Goldman's bad at math, so he's in politics. I get it. That's why I'm in TV. But I didn't know election years were so sensitive for the Department of Justice, because they spied on Trump's campaign during an election year. Trump was impeached during an election year for zeroing in on Biden corruption. And now Trump's on trial in 3 separate cases. When? Yeah, it's going to be in an election year. Seems like the Department of Justice gets a lot done in election years when Trump's the target. But Jake Tapper thinks all presidents' families are treated the same.
Do you think that it's possible that because this was the president's son, there were extra sensitivities and extra protocols because of that that would have been extended to an investigation of a Republican president's son or daughter as well?
Extra sensitivities and protocols? The FBI interfered in both Trump's elections, 16 and 20. And the Trump family, 2 sons, a daughter, and a son-in-law, sat through dozens of depositions, handed over thousands of documents and communications for a 2-year investigation into a crime that didn't exist. Don Jr. almost got indicted for taking a worthless meeting with a Russian, while Hunter was taking hundreds of meetings with, I don't know, Russians, Romanians, Chinese, Ukrainians, Mexicans, and taking home millions of dollars after the meetings and after his dad got involved, and no one knows why. Did the Trumps ever get tipped off to raids? Because Hunter did. The Justice Department blocked search warrants for Biden's properties, but the feds rummaged through Melania's underwear drawer with impunity, like a bunch of pervs, all up in Barron's bedroom. Are those the kind of extra sensitivities and protocols that first families deserve, Jake Tapper? There's only one person here with privilege.
When we wrap this report up, Hunter Biden's going to have between 6 and 10 criminal referrals. He violated the Foreign Agents Registration Act. He was money laundering. He was racketeering. He committed wire fraud. He violated the Mann Act. The list goes on and on and on, but yet he gets a slap on the wrist. And the Democrats want to talk about, oh, the 2-tier system of justice is racist in America. Well, Hunter Biden's the ultimate white privilege guy.
Hunter should be in prison today, but he's not. So where is he? Hunter's in Malibu with the guy who picked up his bill for $2 million with the IRS, his sugar brother? That's Kevin Morris, the sugar brother ripping bong hits off his balcony while Hunter's inside. Hunter's got a plea deal around the corner where he's supposed to stay clean or go to prison. Does Hunter seem like he's going to stay clean? Fresh off a bag of Coke left at the White House? You'd think Hunter wouldn't want to be spotted by a bomb. This is not a classy family. And this was a family-wide scandal. 10 Biden family members alleged to be taking bribes overseas. But investigators were obstructed from pursuing leads. Couldn't go anywhere near Hunter's daughter, Naomi, who was going to Ukrainian board meetings with Hunter. Couldn't talk to Joe's sister, Silent Val, who Hunter was sending cash to. And they weren't even allowed to mention Joe Biden's name. When Hunter was threatening the Chinese to pay up or his dad was going to get angry, they were told that was off limits. The Democrats say the American voters don't care if politicians are corrupt.
The circus has come to town with the House GOP. And what's dangerous about this is that the American people and their needs are not part of their agenda. And they want to focus on this political theater.
Democrats wasted 2 years on January 6th political theater. They used Hollywood production crews while American voters were begging them do something about the border, inflation, and high crime. And this was after the Democrats wasted years playing political theater with Russia. Now, I've been covering this Biden corruption story for a while now, and I can feel it's finally breaking through. What about you? Let's turn it over to former FBI agent Stuart Kaplan. Is this breaking through, Stuart?
I got to tell you, Jesse, this 1023 form that was released, that's dated June 22nd, 26th of 2020, is explosive. It's detailed with facts. It also brings a little bit of some light to how many other potential investigations that are ongoing. Even though they are redacted, you can tell that case files, substantive case files, have been redacted. But what was most telling to me is when you get to the end of the page 4, this agent who was telephonically interviewing this confidential human source was so taken back by the information he received on the 26th that he called this confidential informant back on the 29th. And that's when he details the conversation with respect to now knowing there are 17 alleged recordings between the Bidens. I can tell you right now, that agent would have gone back to the office after that final phone call, would have set all these investigative leads out throughout the various entities to go interview those individuals, retrieve those recordings, and certainly continue to build a case. And of course, with respect to the facts that the Bidens had received 2 payments in the amount of $5 million, that is what the emphasis was with respect to having the IRS present on this front stage, because we follow the money. But the FBI, they closed that door on the IRS and did not share this very important information.
Who has these 17 tapes of the Bidens talking bribes? Did the FBI get them? Are they still in Ukraine? What do you think?
Well, look, I would hate to think, well, look, Jesse, let me put it succinctly and based upon facts. There is no doubt that the FBI continue to conduct an investigation to ascertain and locate and try to retrieve those recordings. You can take that to the bank. I can sleep well and tell you that the FBI did do that. You ask me whether or not they obtained those tapes and those tapes were buried or destroyed, that would be something that would be so hard for me to wrap my head around, because that would then bring the end to the FBI. But when I look at all of the information that has come out, and this is like a slow process of dribs and drabs of the releasing of these documents, I'm not so sure I can any longer give the benefit of the FBI as to whether or not they would have gone or would not have gone to that extent to have gotten those recordings and destroyed them.
Would the FBI be blackmailing Joe Biden if they have the tapes? What would they be doing with them besides sitting on them?
Now, I don't think that the FBI would be in a position to use those tapes in a measure to blackmail Joe Biden. But given the administration, the current administration and the administration that was there during this time, it would not surprise me that the agents were able to locate and track down those recordings and make those recordings disappear, or got those recordings and we will never ever see them in the light of day. I don't see them using that as leverage against the Bidens, because that's a double-edged sword, and that certainly too would bring the end to the FBI.
All right. Stuart, thank you so much. As always, have a great weekend.
Always my pleasure. You too.